know what time it is. Y'all know
Yeah,
what time it is.
it is
It
football
is
time.
football time. Unc and nephew. We're talking about Unc football right over there, right beside me. I'm nephew, big baby J, big stepper. We are in it to win it, my man. How are you doing, Unc? How are you doing this morning?
Doing fantastic, man. We're getting ourselves what a second or third blast of summer this weekend, right? Here we
Yes,
are into
sir.
October, almost into
Yes, sir.
Canadian Thanksgiving, and it's 85 degrees today. Shoot.
I'm telling you, man. Yesterday I was wearing a tank top. I was going to work wearing a tank top, brother, and this was
Yeah,
like 2 p.m. And it was
yeah,
like it was in the middle of summer, bro. Like, what's going on? I like it. I ain't
yeah.
mad.
I
I
was
ain't
gonna
mad,
say,
brother.
enjoy it while you can, man. I'm getting in all the extra rides and runs and all that type of thing. I'm trying to get outside as much as I can because I know it's gonna change like
Ooh,
a heartbeat. Just boom. Next thing you know, it's gonna be freaking winter.
I'm telling you, some people call it like false spring or false like
Yeah,
fall or false summer. Some little area in between September, October, where we get like a fake type of
yeah.
weather, man. I'm talking about my Ontario people, man. Yeah, my Southern Ontario people
Well,
know what time it is, bro.
well, they used to. Well, they used to
Yeah.
call it. It was like it was kind of like a slur, right? They used to call it Indian
Mm.
summer. They used to call it Indian summer with the idea that like Native people somehow
Oh,
because it's a false thing, right? Like it's supposed to be fall and
right,
it's summer, right? It's a it's
right.
it's a negative stereotype. So yeah, you use the right word, false fall,
Yeah,
right?
false
Because
fall, whatever you want to call it. One thing we know for a fact is that we're having a better day than one Jets quarterback. And no, I'm not talking about Justin Fields because he's having a horrible day. He plays for the Jets. But there's somebody who used to play for the Jets that is having a worse Sunday than us, bruh. A worse week.
a lot
Um,
of people.
I don't even know how I can set this up, but well, I'll try my best to set it up for y'all. Basically, Mark Sanchez is going to be calling the Colts game that's going to be happening. Well, allegedly, he might not. We don't know yet. Colts versus
Yeah.
Raiders. And yesterday, he was in Indianapolis last night and he was arrested. Arrested for what, you might ask? Well, he was stabbed. And where was he arrested? He was arrested in a hospital. Why was he in a hospital from stab wounds and getting arrested? Well, the story goes that he got in a beef with an Uber driver. Yes, an Uber driver. And allegedly he was drunk. He went inside this Uber, basically trespassing inside this man's car because this man probably didn't want him in. And this
Yeah.
all happened in the parking lot, 12 something a.m. at night. Allegedly, he was drunk as hell. He gets in some kind of beef. This Uber driver or DoorDash or crack dealer, whatever he was, okay, who was delivering something, pull out the knife, man. He pull up the buck. He was getting to it, chop, 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 buck 50. You know what time it is. And then the police found Sanchez in the hospital, all tore up and arrested him. Unc, isn't this the most odd way to start your Sunday morning? What the hell?
Man, I
I'm
laughed. I really laughed when I saw that.
crazy,
And like I
right?
laughed
Right,
again even harder when I started reading that Sanchez, like the victim of the stabbing is getting charged, right? Like
right.
how much of an idiot or an asshole do you have to be to receive charges after you've been stabbed? Right? It's like what?
Yes,
So so
yes.
that's pretty fascinating right there, man. My only real
Yeah.
question about is whether or not they can get the audio right if he's broadcasting the game from behind bars, right? If he's still in the holding tank, right?
What?
um, so
Yo,
yeah, the it's if he's not like back on the job today, like able to sort of just ignore the whole thing happened and all that type of thing. If he's
right.
not on the job today, man, everybody and their mother's going to be talking about this thing. Oh my goodness, Mark Sanchez missed a shift because he got stabbed because his Uber driver got upset with him.
I'm telling you, man,
You
that's
know
one
what?
way to talk to
I'll
me.
bet you
Yeah.
any money. I'll bet you any money the Uber driver asked him about the butt fumble. and he just lost it.
It's definitely some ish talking about the butt fumble. I'm
Right?
like this guy Mark Sanchez is some saint or something like that. But maybe when you drink a lot, you can turn into somebody you're normally not. And I'm telling you
Holy
something,
geez.
he definitely must have done something so crazy that the cops went to arrest him, not
Okay.
Savage. Like what,
That's what I'm saying, right? Like,
bro?
so
Like what?
I mean, he really must get into the cups, man, because yeah, everything I've seen about Mark Sanchez over the years is
That's
he's
nice.
very affable, good guy, right? Like we
Yeah,
did, like he laughed about the butt fumble eventually, right? Like Mark
sure.
Sanchez has all, and of course a USC guy, right? I mean, USC is a pretty stushy place, right? They make sure all their
Yes,
players are
sir.
pretty good stead, right? So I've always
Mm-hmm.
known Mark Sanchez to be, pardon the pun, right? Always to be a very sober, level-headed guy, right?
He wasn't a savage in these streets, man. I'll tell you one thing
I'm
though, we
telling you.
gotta acknowledge. There's one savage in these streets, and he's about to steal your job. But like Mark Sanchez is about to lose his job. Because Mark's gonna lose his job. I'm sorry. Mark's gonna lose. You're arrested
Well,
on your day.
probably, right?
Come
Like
on, brother.
if your behavior is so bad that like somebody stabs you and
Right.
the cops charge you still, like you're still considered the aggressor.
Crazy, man. Smash that like button, guys. Appreciate y'all for liking and sharing. Somebody who is going to steal a job is Mac Jones. Mac Jones, yes, the Mac attack, the dude who was shipped out of New England promptly, was shipped out of, I think he was at Miami at some point. The man
Jacksonville.
who was a top 15 pick in the NFL draft, ironically, goes back to the team that almost drafted him. I'm telling you right
Crazy.
now, we talking about the San Francisco 49ers laying under a fantastic Thursday night game, 26-23. Mac
Yeah.
Jones was immaculate. Plus, he was hurt, gave you 342 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air. Obviously, did nothing on the ground, but the straight resilience he had in that game, if you're watching the game, I think halfway through it, he like busted his knee. It was crazy. But
Yeah.
tell us about this Mac Jones. I think this is one of his best games ever, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well,
Mm,
I mean, he went 2-5, backing up Trevor Lawrence
right.
in Jacksonville last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had one good year when he got drafted in New England, and two. Then they changed offensive coordinators. Then he had two, like really, bad years, and so they sent him to Jacksonville. But
Right.
the point is like he's an Alabama guy. Think he
Right.
like either like competed for a national championship or won a natty, one of the two. Like so,
Mm,
he's had like a lot of experience. But it appears that Shanahan, who's apparently his system is considered to be his offense is considered to be one of the most quarterback friendly in the league. I mean, that's how you've got Mr. Irrelevant as your as your starting quarterback and one of the, the
right.
best, one of the the top 10 in the league usually. So like obviously Shanahan knows what to do with a quarterback,
Mm.
with the exception of Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance.
Yes.
I'll never get over that. We'll get back to the game because that was a great game. But
Fantastic game, bro.
like I decided to revisit that 2021 draft,
Right.
and they fell in love with Trey Lance's tape, right? But at the end of the
Mm,
day, he was like a North Dakota jackrabbit or whatever it is, right? He came from
mm,
a small program, and then you've got Mac Jones, who's played for Saban in Alabama at the
right.
top highest levels of the college level. So like I find it remarkable that Shanahan, who's so good with quarterbacks, could make that mistake and getting seduced by Trey Lance's tape when Mac Jones was probably the obvious choice. He even traded
Mm,
up to get the guy, right? The guy ended up second or third
right.
pick.
Right.
And Mac Jones was like got taken 15th. Like 49ers could have had him if they just stayed where they were. They were drafting 12th. And Yeah. So I think Mac Jones succeeds in a good system. I think he's like a lot of, pro quarterbacks. He's been in a pro system since he was at Alabama. And I'm guessing that both New England and Jacksonville, I mean, we see what's going on in Jacksonville. We've seen the problems they've had in offense with
With
Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
We've seen ETN has had wonky ankles, and the running game's never really taken off in his absence. We've
Mm,
had, we saw Brian Taylor Jones last year was pretty good. Was terrible this year. But the whole point is that
yes.
like there hasn't been like Charlie Kirk never launched. Like nobody's really taken off in that offense out there. So we shouldn't be surprised that Mac Jones didn't as well.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be surprised either to see how almost everybody in San Francisco is doing well in that offense, whomever they plug in there, because it's a
Mm,
math unit over there. They've got injuries out the yan, and yet like everybody who they're putting in there is producing. And
yes.
that game on Thursday night, right? Because you got to remember, man, like the
Oh,
Rams are one of the best defenses in the league. The Rams are looking at it like
absolutely.
one of the best teams in the league, as is it's a rivalry game. San Francisco's looking the same way. What, one team is 3-1, one team is 4-0, I think it is,
Yes,
or
sir. But
so
now the Rams are 3-2, but now the
right.
49ers are 4-1. 49ers are quietly a really good team. Yeah.
See, this is what I'm getting at, right? So apparently Shanahan's system, the system itself, seems to produce. And Mac Jones looks like he's ready to do pretty much what Purdy does, and that is,
Mhm.
produce and win games. Throws it
Yeah.
downfield. He gets good distance downfield. Like it would appear to be Shanahan's system. So good for him. And
Shout out for sure.
Mac Jones is a great pickup if you
Yeah.
had Lamar, for example.
Oh,
Right.
I see
So
what you're doing, Unc.
right. So
Nice.
yeah, like think of all the guys that took Lamar like high, like low
Right,
third round, like high third round, low second round. Like a lot of people took him between picks 25 and 35, and
right.
you need a replacement. And look at this guy putting up, 300 yards or 275 or whatever it was, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, right? Now, the question
Right.
with Mac Jones is he another one of these guys who makes a great replacement where he's like Winston, he's good for 4, 5, 6 games, but
Mm,
get left to his own devices for over a 17-game season, maybe he turns into, Jameis
something
Winston.
else.
He
Yeah.
ends up throwing a lot of picks or something. We'll find out, but maybe not, because I think Purdy will keep his job. I mean, it's
I,
pretty
I, I
rare.
think I think I think Purdy's gonna keep his job as well because they're paying Purdy damn near 50 million a year, man.
Just
You
gave him all
you're
that
paying a
money,
guy
right?
50 million a year. You're gonna keep him. I think that's the same logic that they did with the Vikings, where they took JJ McCarthy instead of keeping Sam Darnold, which was, I'm gonna say, a horrible decision. I know hindsight is 2020, but it was a bad decision because you see what Sam Darnold is doing in Seattle. And by the way, here's a spoiler alert: Seattle's one of my top 5 teams. Just that's a
Yeah.
little preview for later. But
Mhm.
I'm telling you right now, uh, if you make such a high investment, right, in a quarterback, in a player, you have to justify it and take it through, especially these GMs. The Trey Lance experiment, I believe, was a John Lynch and the owner of the Niners decision. I think Shanahan was feeling Mac Jones more because there was a controversy, a
Yeah.
pre-draft controversy between Trey Lance or Mac Jones for the Niners, and Niners traded out a lot of picks in order to get a top pick, and people were unsure. I remember this year, it's
Hmm.
2021. People were not sure if Trey was really the guy or Mac Jones, and it turns out it was Mac Jones because Mac Jones was in a pro level system,
We,
and
I was
Shanahan
about,
runs a pro offense. So
I was
that's
about
something
to
that too.
say,
Right.
it makes sense when you look when you look at it in retrospect, as you say, like
Right.
Alabama Heisman Natty type winner versus a guy who had a fantastic season at North Dakota State,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. And
So
this is
doesn't
to happen. Go ahead.
it sounds like an ownership mistake rather than like a Shanahan mistake? Because that doesn't sound like a mistake that Shanahan would
Right.
make.
Right. And that's something that we really need to look at, because when you look at ownership, ownership gets in a lot way of a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
There's a game that we're about to watch or that's live right now pertaining to the Cleveland Browns versus, let me just check again which team they're playing, but the Browns have decided they're playing the Vikings. Vikings are
Yeah,
two England games. Okay, very interesting. You have Dylan Gabriels, who is starting here for his first start in the NFL. And we haven't really touched on the Cleveland QB drama, but it's hard to miss. It's hard to avoid, man, us football people. As y'all
yeah,
know, people, if you're not in the know, this is the biggest, one of the biggest sports stories in football right now is where uh in the Cleveland Browns, they decided to bench Joe Flacco, who is having a horrible season. I think he has 2 touchdowns, 6 picks. Him and Geno Smith are leading the league in interceptions. Really bad. And
yep.
at this point, the Browns have only had one win, which was a crazy win, as we talked about, versus the Green Bay Packers. Kevin Stefanski begging for his job has decided. By the way, if y'all in the building, smash that like button. Thank you very much. Kevin Stefanski, in order to save his job and his rear end, said, "Yo, I'm not going down with the ship. Our defense is too good." Decided to bench Mr. Joe Flacco for Dylan Gabriels, who, quiet as kept, has a little quarterback competition with Shador Sanders, and that is the controversy, y'all. They put Joe Flacco as number 2, Shador stays as number 3, and QB1 is Dylan Gabriel's Sooner, Oregon Ducks. I think he even played for UCF or some other team. Unk, what do you think of this decision? My quick take, I think it makes sense because I think this is the person that Stefanski wanted. But Shador, going back to ownership, as we're talking about, I think Shador was a pick by the owner. I think Jimmy Haslam, that's his name. I forget his name. But
Mhm.
the owner picked Shador, and I think the fans are feeling Shador. But for the Cleveland Browns, I think it's best that you let Shador sit and maybe trade him to another team where he has a better chance to start. Unc, what are your thoughts about the Dylan Gabriel, Cleveland Brown, Shador Sanders controversy?
Yeah, the issue that people are taking with that is that Joe Flacco was dropped down to backup, second string. Well, Dylan
Right.
Gabriel was promoted up to first string to get the start this week. But
Mm.
everybody assumed that Shador would be the backup behind Dylan Gabriel. So now it
Right.
looks like Shador is sort of like he didn't get shuffled up at all. He didn't go
Mm.
anywhere. He's still like third string. He's still worse than Joe Flacco in the estimation of the coaches, right? And I
Yeah.
guess that's hurting his ego a little bit, right? So he did that
Right.
pantomime thing where he says, "I'm ready," right? Okay. So
I didn't
and
like it.
again, right? So you got guys like Cam Newton now saying that, well, yeah, that is exactly the reason why
Right.
he's on, he didn't get drafted where he thought he would get drafted, and why he's on third string is that it's doing exactly that type of thing. When your third string quarterback
Right.
is second guessing ownership and management in front of cameras, like this is exactly the reason why. Like a lot of people didn't want this kind of drama from the third string quarterback, and of course, it's his
Right.
contention that he should not be the third string quarterback. But what's
Right.
going on right now is that I think that's a good guess that he was another ownership pick there, because it
Yes.
nobody can figure out why he took Dylan Gabriel and then also took Shador Sanders later, right?
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't sound like something a coach would do, right? Because he knows
No.
this is right now. And Sanders, like we've yet to see what he is or is not in a live pro game, regular season game. And Cleveland is trying to put it out there like the regular season is just an extension of
Mm.
training camp, and that they're still
Right.
working out the quarterback competition in season. And so what they're saying is that in fact, like they were quoted as saying that he will get his shot this season, but we want to
Mm.
have a game plan for him that is ready for him. So
Mm.
it's like they're not sure who's really their backup for real yet, for sure. They have a
Mm.
preference with Dylan Gabriel, but they're afraid of what they might miss when they do come along to Shador Sanders. So
Right.
here's the problem that we have, right? Is that okay?
Right.
So now we all know that there's going to be a specific game plan for Shador. That it might be, week 8, 10, who knows, right? Depends on how Dylan Gabriel works. And
Right.
Mr. Gabriel's operating the offense so far from what I saw in the first couple of quarters of football this morning, watching that game. So
Mm-hmm.
he engineered a scoring drive, right? I mean, Cleveland's got 7 points, so
Right.
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 So anyway, so he's clearly he's making the offense work. Flores hasn't
Mm-hmm.
gotten to him yet or anything like that. So
Right.
eventually the idea is that Shador is also going to get an opportunity in the same way to get a game like that. Or maybe they're just
Right.
saying that to make him happy, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
like you don't know for sure, but yeah, it definitely looks like Dylan Gabriel's your number 2, and it looks like he can operate the offense. We'll see for how long, right? So
Yeah.
you know,
It's definitely, you know what it is, man. I don't when I saw he got drafted to the Cleveland Browns, I was really upset because the
yeah,
Browns, you know what the Browns are. They ruin QBs, man. Look what Baker Mayfield is doing down there in Tampa. Baker Mayfield is a sleeper MVP, bro. And he's always had that talent. You know what I mean? He
right.
was just on the damn Browns for so long that they ruined him not only as a quarterback, but I think even his confidence and his mentality, right?
I think
So when I see any young quarterback go to the Browns, I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
they have had almost as
Bro.
many quarterbacks since 1999. They've had almost as many quarterbacks since 99
Hmm.
as there have been U.S. presidents. I think there's something like this is like Shador's like
Oh,
the 42nd or 43rd quarterback that they've had since then, right? So
oh my God, man. That's so
yeah,
bad as a franchise. And the thing is, here's what
yeah.
sucks. That defense is so good. That's a championship defense. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
well,
you're wasting their talent with such mediocre offense that it's like, bruh, like what are
dude,
we doing? And then you have to
you
forget
should.
that the pervert is still there. Deshaun,
That's
he's
right.
coming back.
Everybody
It
forgets
was
about
like
that.
this like one season experiment, brother. It's like
But
what?
man,
Oh,
and let me tell you, like
what?
Quinshawn Judkins looks like he's going
So
to
good.
be, the 101 pick next year for heaven's sakes in fantasy. Like he
Yes,
looks like
sir.
a complete running back stud right now. He's out there
Right.
knocking linebackers back. He had a 70-yard touchdown run where he outran the Minnesota secondary, like
Wow.
from the spot that
Wow.
he broke the line of scrimmage. The guy
Wow.
was right next to him. As he broke the line of scrimmage, that guy immediately turned around and chased him to the end zone, and he outran the team.
Oh
Quinshawn
shit.
Judkins is sick. He looks like the best running back in the NFL right now, but he's just on a brutal team, right?
Right.
So get that
That's
line fixed.
unfortunate.
Get
Yeah.
that line fixed. Get the quarterback. Get a quarterback you can trust. And my goodness,
Mm.
that team has all the tools.
I'm telling you, man. And for me personally, I'm thinking now with the how the league is going, you need to be two quarterbacks deep at minimum. Meaning that,
Right?
you know, your backup, we're gonna talk about this a bit later, has to be somebody who's ready to start and can get you some wins. They don't have to
Yeah.
be as good as your starter, but they have to be serviceable. And as you see, Joe Flacco at this point in his career, he's a backup. He's at the end of the road, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dylan Gabriel's, we're gonna see, but I personally would have liked Shador to start. But at the same time, the coaches are seeing something in practices. They're seeing something that they're not
Mhm.
liking. And for me, as a fan of Shador, I think that this is actually
Yeah.
growing pains, and he needs to learn this way because if he can manage being a backup, right, or even being a third string, that will help him later in his career, man. Because there's a lot of quarterbacks who start out as backup, and guess what? The starter
Yeah.
breaks their knee or they're out with a hamstring, like Joe Flacco. Now you have Cooper Rush
Yeah.
who's going to be playing. Sorry, like Lamar Jackson. Now you have Cooper Rush coming in. The
Yep.
league is all about backups, and you have to be two quarterbacks deep. It's not like it used to be back in the day where the backup was just
Right.
that. No, you have to be two quarterbacks deep on your
Yeah.
roster, bro.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the next one, right? Here's the next one.
Hmm.
Look at Stafford, right? Stafford,
Yes,
17
sir.
years into his career. He's got a wonky back. He plays super tough, right? And
Of course.
they're just one Jimmy Garoppolo away from taking away a playoff, possible Super Bowl season.
Right. They're contender. The Rams are contenders, bro. Like we saw in that Niners, they took it to overtime, brother. They are contender.
Yeah.
So if Stafford, anything happens to you need to have a really good backup, and unless you
And
want to
they've got
waste that
and they've
crazy
got
good.
Jimmy Garoppolo, which is not a good backup.
Oh
Again,
snap! They have Jimmy G. I didn't know. We're for real.
Jimmy G is their backup, right? He had like one half good season as a backup for was behind Brady
Wow.
in the Patriots, which he parlayed into the Shanahan system, right? Or whoever the coach
Wow.
was back in 2010 or 11. I forget who it was. But
Yeah.
anyways, he had one or two good seasons in that San Francisco system, and he's been garbage ever since, right? Like as soon
Been
as he got
absolute trash. Yeah.
as soon as he got out of the San Francisco system, Jimmy G all of a sudden like looked terrible. I don't know what it is.
I'm telling you, coaching and quarterback so important in this league. And by the way, I think the Niners and the Rams are going to see each other in the future. We don't know, but I think they're going to see each other in January. That's a guess from me.
Oh
But we
man, that
have
whole
a good amount of overtime games, and one of the most weird and odd games that we saw last week. By the way, y'all get in the chat. Let us know your takes. We love
yeah.
hearing y'all point of view, man. We love an active chat. We love having y'all participate and smash that like button as y'all come in here and as y'all support here. But one really odd game was that it was entertaining. The defense meter got turned up. I'm talking about the Packers and the Cowboys having a
Yeah.
tie. Yes, a damn. I have not seen a tie in an NFL game in a long
That was
time, brother.
that was
Talk to us about this game.
what a ridiculous game that was. Like that was just
Crazy,
insane, man. You know what they say
right?
about a tie, right? It's like kissing your sister. It's like it's like it doesn't add up to anything, right? It's just it's like taking your cousin to the prom, right? It's just like it's
Nasty.
all it's nothing goes, right? Well, it just means that nothing happens. It's like
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
it,
It's
it
true.
is, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like you had a
Right.
good game, you scored 40 points, but for what? On the other hand, you didn't lose, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like going to the prom with your cousin, right? It's like you didn't miss the prom, but you didn't really have a good one either because it was with your cousin, right? You see what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah, sir. I see what you're saying. I see what
so
you're
so anyways, yeah, that's the old phrase about it, right? But man, it was a Sunday night barn burner. It was absolutely ridiculous. They were so equal, like in their time. Like the only
saying. Yeah.
difference between either team in stats and all that is that Dallas had more penalties and Green Bay was better on third downs. But other than
Mm,
that, like the time of possession, the score,
mm,
like the number of plays, okay, like Green Bay was a little bit more efficient, but it didn't really matter. And we had an
right.
interesting question on all this about did the Packers or the Cowboys win the trade? Well, it's a
Yes, sir.
defensive trade, and both teams had 40 points scored against them. I don't think either one of them won.
That's fair. That's true.
Right?
My,
Now,
go ahead.
Mika Parsons got the only sack in the whole game because it was turnstiles. It was turnstiles on the line, just everybody going through. Right?
Mm.
So yeah, there wasn't anybody dominant. The most tackles anybody had on that team, I think, was 6. Right? So it's like
Wow.
there was
Yeah.
no dominance. Guys like Ray Lewis used to get 18, 20 tackles in a game. Like this
What?
was not a good game of defense at all, but it was an entertaining game of football, just not very
Yeah.
satisfying for anybody. It was just a
I
complete
will say
wash.
this. It was really satisfying for the NFL owners, for definitely for the owners, for people who Commissioner Goodell was probably happy. A lot of money's coming in,
Oh
prime
yeah,
time, an offensive explosion. For the casual fan, it's great. But I think in the big picture, it's showing. I'm going to argue that I think the Cowboys might have won this trade. You know why? Because you need a player to show up in big time moments in big time games like this. Because I'm not going to say it felt like a playoff game, but the pressure, the style of game it was, every possession mattered. It went down to overtime.
yeah, it
Literally,
did.
the 0-0 on the clock, you can't play any more football. You'd
Yeah,
expect a guy you just paid 150 million to be an impact player, and there were times in the game, actually most of the game, where Parsons disappeared. He
yeah,
had zero impact until the very end, but you could argue that that was a game, maybe saving sack, or maybe Dak would have
yeah,
gotten some kind of touchdown at the end or something. But in my mind, man, I'm paying you this much money and you can't produce a big impact play. We end up having a tie with one of the. I'm telling you, the Cowboys are not a great they're a great offense, but they're
yeah,
not a great football team in
yeah,
general. So for me, I think this is what the Cowboys were thinking. They knew that Micah Parsons is not on some Ray Lewis. He's not on a
right.
Lawrence Taylor. He's not on even you know what I'm saying, TJ Watt. Because TJ Watt would have made an impact play.
Yeah,
Many throughout the game, right?
or Miles
So
Garrett.
my argument is that the Cowboys secretly this validated their trade. Go ahead, Unc. What do you
Well,
think?
yeah, well, this is what Jerry Jones was basically saying from the get go, and that's certainly
Right.
oh, what's that goofy guy? Used to hang out
There's a
with
lot of
yeah, the guy that goofy Cowboys reporter who's always taking doing outrageous takes. The guy's kind of like ruined his career over the last 20 years. Him and Sharp, Shannon Sharp used to
Oh, you
argue
mean
and
Skip
go at
Bayless? Skip Bayless.
Skip
I
Bayless.
don't want
That's
Skip
right.
Bayless.
Yeah,
Goofy.
Skip
Yeah, that's
Bayless.
a
Skip
super goof.
Skip Bayless. That was his contention is that Mika
Yeah.
Parsons
Yeah.
was like not all that. He sounds pretty
Overhyped.
petulant. He sounds pretty petulant
I
describing
mean,
it
I
that
wouldn't
way.
take it as far as him, but yeah, he might have had a point, a small point,
Well, he
but
is. He is. He
yeah,
had Dallas has been his beat since he was young, right? So
right, right. I'll look at it like this, man. We'll know about this trade really with those draft picks,
yeah,
especially the ones that they traded. That's how we'll look at the trade. But so
right.
far, the Packers, the alleged Super Bowl undefeated team, is 2-1-1. They're not even the best team in their division, right?
That's right. Well,
So
and
yeah,
the stat line because who got traded? It was Clark, right?
it was Clark. Yeah, Kenny
Yeah.
Clark, and then two picks. I think two first
They
rounds. Yeah.
they they each had one tackle, and Mika got a sack. So like there's not much
Oh,
to measure from this particular game. So yes, it'll be the
right.
trade picks that ultimately tell the story.
I look at it like this, man. The game was entertaining, but I think due to the expectations of the Cowboys this season, the Cowboys can take that as a win in my eyes because
Yeah.
they were like 7 or 8 point dogs. They were underdogs. They were not expected to do nothing. That's what I remember.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
anyhow, Mika Parsons didn't come back and dance on the star, sacking Dak four
Right.
times. As long as that didn't happen, Jerry Jones, in his mind, won the trade.
See, that's the low expectations the Cowboy fans have to go through.
That's it. Like that's the only thing they really care about.
Crazy, man. And you know what? We won't talk about deeply about all these other teams, but we got to talk about slightly some other teams that started really bad over the season, but are somehow rolling. And let me be specific. I'm talking about the Bears, the Chicago Bears with a late game winning blocked kick, sorry, versus the Raiders. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
Falcons who've been looking off and all of a sudden they look like the greatest show on turf. I'm talking about the Falcons beating the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. Talking about the Patriots beating the Panthers, giving them 42 damn points. And I'm talking about the Chiefs. I'm crying in my damn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ravens hat where the Chiefs put the smack down. I'm telling you, the Chiefs look like the Chiefs of old, especially playing my horrible Ravens injured defense. Unk, is the season turning? Are things aligning back to teams where people are getting back to the norm? Teams are coming out of the back end. What were your thoughts of quick hits on some of these games? We're talking about the Bears, talking about the Patriots. I'm talking about the Chiefs. I'm talking about the Falcons. Teams that are taking a turn from how they started the season off.
Right. Yeah, because you were sort of like with a question mark, like, are
Mm.
these teams hot right now? I would say the
Yeah,
Chiefs. I would say the Chiefs have rebounded well and have looked very
yeah,
good in their last two games.
right,
They've 37 points for, 17 against. They're 2-2 on a two-game win streak. So you gotta be on at least a two-game win streak to say you're hot right now, right? So the
mm,
Pats and the Falcons, it's a little more wishy-washy about whether they're really hot right now, especially the
right,
Falcons. I don't think you can get beat 30-0 by the Panthers and be in any conversation about if you're hot right now, right? They've
right,
had more points scored against them than they've scored, right? But
right.
they had a good solid win last week. But I'm thinking that, like, I'm starting to wonder about the Commanders' defense. It seems pretty soft. The
Mm,
Pats scored 42 points last week, so they certainly were hot last week.
mm,
They're 2-2. They're above
right,
500 in their score. They kicked the Panthers' butt, is who they did. So there's the one combination in those two things, right? So the Pats are definitely hotter than the Falcons, right? Because the Pats kicked
right.
the kicked the tar out of the Panthers, but the Panthers kicked the tar out of the Falcons, right? So, and the Bears, right? The Bears had a really solid win, but
Mm,
their production's a little slight to be called again, to be called sort of hot, but they have won two in a row, and they are definitely looking up, in my opinion.
I'm telling you, man, that a lot of the times, a first week or week one, week two can be a mirage, man. You go into
Yes.
October, November, you're getting into some consistency. And that's why I
Yes.
brought up those teams because they started so off that, hey, maybe there might be a turn. And I don't know. I saw something. I saw something with the Bears. They're not at their unlucky streak. I saw something with the Patriots that Drake May is playing quiet. It's got really good football, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We'll see what
Drake,
happens.
May-
You know,
Drake May looks
yeah,
solid, but he's
really
stuck.
good.
He's stuck with New England, right? They just
Yeah.
can't seem to get out of their own way in recent years. Uh, but the
Mm,
Bears, if I had to choose which teams, I would say the Chiefs and the Bears are both either looking up or hot right now, sort of like looking like they've turned the tide. If I was to say
yeah.
definitively, the Chiefs definitely look like they're looking better. They're looking much crisper. And the Bears look like they've got it in them to go on a bit of a run
Mm,
to maybe win, 9 or 10 games, right? Like competent is what I'm talking about, which is a long way
mm.
from where they were, right? Like I thought for sure they were going to lose that game to Las Vegas, but they hung in
Me
there,
too.
right? So
They did. I
yeah,
want to mention one game that I think was kind of significant, and this was the start of Jackson Dart. We're talking about that. This shocked me. I'm gonna be real with you. I did not see this coming. Really back end. The Chargers get beat. Yes, they lost,
game
and they were the
made me
hard. They
sick.
beat.
Made me
Yeah,
sick, right? Because this is
telling
again
you,
one of these games where I picked the Chargers, without even thinking about it, right? But
most people
I,
did.
I
Yeah.
should have noticed, because this is what happens so many times when a West Coast team shows up on the East Coast to play the 1 o'clock window. Like it's
Mm,
weird things happen when that happens, right? So we'll
yes,
talk about
sir.
that more when we talk about the Tampa Seattle game.
Yes, sir. We're gonna talk about that a bit later. I just want to give special shout out to Jackson Dart. Great performance. Him as a
Really
dual
good.
threat was really shocking to me, man. And him and Cam Scatterbull looked absolutely amazing. I'm not saying that this is. I would need to see them do two wins in a row. I like that metric you
Yeah,
said. Let's see
yeah.
two. or 3 wins in a row to put them in the hot category, because
Well,
so far that was a shocking win to me. And
remember,
they
I
really
mean,
they made Justin Herbert look really bad. That defense was on Herbert It was crazy. I have not
well,
seen him struggle like that in a long time. Yeah.
remember when we discussed that last week? I was saying that, like, if you needed a replacement for a quarterback for whatever reason, that Jackson Dart might be the better choice, right? We were asking how come
Great
Jameis
pick.
Winston wasn't getting played, and I said, well, Dayball's trying to save his job, and you were saying, well,
Right.
maybe the Moras wanted to see their new toy, right? Whatever the
Yeah.
reason was. I was saying that that rookie naivete, that rookie kind of fearlessness might work out in his
Yeah.
favor, and he
Yeah.
plus he has the energy in his legs. He's got good legs. He can run a little bit, right? And all of
Hmm.
that came to pass, right? He played fearless. He ran
Oh
for
yeah.
about he had about 10 runs at least. I think he ran for 50 yards. Like
Mm.
Jackson Dart, he just looked better than Russell Wilson did by a long shot, just simply because he looked so young and energetic. And this is
Oh,
kind of like
sure.
what I was suggesting last week, is that there seems to be kind of a changing of the guard this year with running
Mm.
backs and with some of the quarterbacks. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah, man. You know, the,
yeah,
the 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 league goes through cycles, man, and you know what? Some things change. The more things change, the more they stay the same. A dual
right.
threat quarterback who's able to uplift a team, especially coming out as a rookie, that sounds like Russell Wilson in Seattle, bro.
Way back when. Yeah, well, that's
Way
just it,
that's
right?
the same thing,
So,
the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
sometimes that energy and that freshness, like think about it, right? As veteran
Right.
as you are, you're still like 35, 36 years old, and this guy's 21 or 22, right? Like,
Right.
you know what I'm
Sometimes
saying?
you need that. Yeah, that young boy energy, man. You know what I mean? Let me
You
say
know,
this. If you started Jackson Dart in your fantasy starts and sits, you probably won that
I
week. Let's
think he
give it
got
to you.
20 points.
You got yourself some 20 points. Unc, what are we looking forward to this week, man? And I bring this up. I want us to focus slightly a little bit on injuries and how we can recover from that. People got Malik Neighbors, people who drafted Tyreek Hill, people who drafted Joe Burrow. I know we passed that Joe Burrow situation, but people who, for example, like me, who had to freaking trade you know what I mean, T. Higgins, because that
Hmm.
offense is so garbage. People who are dealing with a slow offense, players on a slow start. Unc, what are your suggestions to people reacting to major injuries to their lineups, Unc? People got Mike
Well,
Evans, for example. Yeah, yeah.
it's really hard to replace a guy like Neighbors. My goodness.
Yes, it is.
That's just tragic. Um,
Yeah.
between what's happened to Joe Burrow and therefore to Jamar Chase, like the whole
Mm,
first round, there's a lot of guys in the first round that are really disappointing. So you're not
yeah.
alone there. In between like the 12 to 15 area too, right? Like BTJ
Mm,
down in Jacksonville has just been terrible this season, right? And
yeah.
like holy shit. So this year, yeah, like a guy like take for example again like McLaurin's injured in
Yes.
DC, right? But look at
Yes.
how
Yes.
Debo Samuels has been sort of like had a renaissance out there. People weren't sure just exactly how much he would put out this year. But because Debo
Mm,
Samuels is sort of like, a five-tool player, right? The guy can run, the guy can pass, the guy can catch. The guy
yes,
could probably
sir.
kick field goals and punts if you asked him to, right? Maybe even play secondary. Debo
Right.
Samuels though is 22 for 27. He's had 27 targets, 22 receptions, about
Mm,
a couple hundred yards and 2 TDs, right? But he's also got 7 rush attempts and 36 yards and a TD, right? So he's
mm,
finding different ways to produce in the Jaden Daniels injured offense right now. So
mm.
yeah, there's a good example of somebody who's been trying to like pick up the slack in that regard.
Right.
Um, Nico Collins, I've got for starters here today. I've got Nico Collins is your big one in Baltimore, but
Oh yes.
Chris Olave. If you missed out on Neighbors, like because he got injured. You might be able to trade for someone like Olave, who it may not cost you nearly as much. You're not going to find another Neighbors, but a guy like Olave has had 41 targets. He's only had one
Oh,
TD. He's only had one TD because New Orleans is a terrible, it's an unproductive offense this year. But he's had
yeah,
41 targets. Sooner or later, that has to. You can't keep getting all those targets. Like that's over 10 targets a game without it eventually paying off in some way.
right.
And also, too, he's got a great target today against the New York Giants, right? So that's a good one. That's a good
Mm,
one. If you could somehow get Olave somehow in your lineup, if you missed out on Neighbors, like that might help you at least have a ceiling, or pardon me,
nice.
no, a floor of production that will at least replace some of what Neighbors gave you. Um,
Mm,
the Indy receivers against Vegas today. I think
oh,
Pittman might still be in the concussion protocol, but
right.
the other two guys, there's a lot of points going on, a lot of yards being thrown by Danny Dimes out there, Mr. Indiana Jones, right?
Yes,
So the Indy receivers, I think, will do well today. Also, the Buffalo receivers. Buffalo's been putting up lots of yards, and they've got a great adversary today for that.
yes,
Um,
sir.
Bucky Irvin is out, right? So
Bucky's out. Yeah, I saw that
that
he's out.
sucks, right? That's really
Mhm.
bad. Rashad White will be replacing him. So if
Right.
people were looking for a running back replacement, all of a sudden Rashad White is available. He will get the majority of the work, but it's a really bad matchup in Seattle. I would not expect Rashad White to do especially well today. Chuba
Yeah.
Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard is also out. Rico Dowdle
Oh,
will be his replacement.
okay.
I'm not sure how that works out. Um, the one guy who should really smash today, though, is Brees Hall in New York
Mm.
against Dallas. In fact,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I think Garrett Wilson is going to do outstanding, and I think Justin Fields should probably do really. I have a feeling that New York does well today.
Oh, yeah.
Kamara is another one of these New Orleans players who's getting a ton of volume, but of course not a lot of production because they don't produce a lot of touchdowns there in New Orleans this year. But
True.
Kamara's got 13 for 15 receptions. He's really reliable. 65
Mm,
carries, right? Um, and again, they're going up against the New York Giants. And also,
mm,
too, his backup, his running back two there in New Orleans, Kendre Miller, all of a sudden is getting production. The guy went
mm,
1165 for one, I think Kendre Miller did last week, right? So, like, he produced
mm,
last week. So he's got standalone production of his own sometimes. I wouldn't count on it, though, like all the time. But he is getting some volume.
right.
The one that you really want today, the guy you really want in your lineup today, if you have him on your bench, is Woody Marks. He seems to have
Oh,
taken over the Houston backfield. Nick Chubb is
mm,
not producing a lot, but Woody Marks went out there last week, had 17 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown,
mm.
and also had four receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. So he blew up.
Oh,
He had like 25. He had like 25 fantasy points for Houston last week, and this week they're going into Baltimore. They're going to visit Baltimore, and I hate to
yes.
say it, but they look prime. And Baltimore
Yeah.
looks prime of
Don't
a
get me
team.
started about the injuries. And
Yeah.
this is the fantasy advice. Any team going against Cowboys, Ravens, and I would even say probably the Saints, even the Panthers. That team, their offensive players are must starts. They're
Yep.
must starts because those defenses are poor, injured,
They're
horrible. They
brutal.
are going to give up a lot of points. That's just a little note. Go ahead, Uncle.
The other one who got huge volume last week, and I'm assuming that they're also going to do it again today because they are going up against New Orleans, is Cam
Mm.
Scatterby. He had
Scatterboo,
20.
yeah.
He had 25 carries, and as well as receptions too, like half a dozen receptions, I believe, as well. Right, Cam
Right.
Scatterby smashed last week, and I'm sure he's going to do it again today. Oh man, do I think Scatterby should be a definite 5-star start today. Um, there are some bad ones though.
Mm,
Bill Merritt, McCoskey Merritt against the Chargers does not look good. PJ
mm,
Harvey up against Philly doesn't look good. In a deeper league, if you're playing Bayshon Tootin, he's going up against KC, which KC's actually given up a fair number of yards against the run, but just their defense in general, I don't trust it. Yeah, so those are the ones I'm looking at there. But we also have some bad RBs are also like Pacheco against Jacksonville. Jacksonville, quite as it's kept, has played really good defense, very good defense this year. And Pacheco just has not been doing well. DeMarcado, a lot of people think is going to do well for Arizona against Tennessee today, and he might. We saw them go to him after Trey Benson got injured, or that game that Trey Benson got injured in. Right. So when they really needed for sure to get that touchdown, it's interesting how they went to DeMarcado. Like they really trusted him because he's very familiar with the system. But Carter, his name is Michael Carter. Didn't he used to play for the Jets? I think he fancies himself the Arizona starter today. He said it out loud, right? So I'm not sure how that's going to go down. So be careful, right? Be careful of that one. But they are playing Tennessee, so whoever plays, like they both.
Oh yeah, that's another team I should have mentioned. Tennessee. That's another team you got to get all your starters on.
Yeah, exactly. So either one of those guys might do well today. Now the moonshot is Isaiah Davis in that game between the Jets and Dallas, because there might be a lot of points scored in that. Isaiah Davis is going to be the RB2 behind. I guess Braylon Allen is out, or something. But Breece Hall will have. Isaiah Davis will be in there, and you never know what he might pull off in that particular game. So for defense, I guess, it's too late now. The Minnesota-Cleveland game is going, right? Either one of those defenses would be a good one to play. I like Indy's defense against Las Vegas today. I think Las Vegas is – something tells me they're going to get their ears boxed around by Indy today. In QBs, Lamar is out, as I mentioned. Some of the best matchups. Mahomes at Jacksonville, Hurts at Denver. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just trust Mahomes right now. I think he's looking like he's breaking out a little bit right now. And even though I've got Jacksonville to cover, I definitely know. I'm sure Mahomes is going to win today. See now we got Jones, Indiana Jones there against Las Vegas. I'm sure that's going to be good. Herbert versus DC, I think that's also going to be good numbers. And of course Prescott at New York Jets and Fields against Dallas, right? And then of course your Kyler Murray buddy is going up against Tennessee today. So I imagine Kyler Murray gets it done today. Bad matchups. Go ahead. Bad matchups for quarterbacks. Geno Smith in Indy, he's just tossing up a lot of interceptions right now. Lawrence versus KC. Again, the Spagnuolo defense. I don't trust Lawrence against it. And Carson Wentz, of course, the game's already on there, but I had Carson Wentz targeted for a lot of sacks today. Let's see here. Now, the other thing for tight ends, Brock Bowers is out, right? So a lot of people rely on Brock Bowers for a lot of production. He will not be in there today. Jake Ferguson, who I mentioned last week, is one of the has got some of them. It's like the second or third most receptions in the entire NFL right now. He's getting fed a lot, 10, 12, 13 targets a game, right? So good things happen with volume in fantasy. Kincaid in Buffalo against New England might do well today. Of course, Warren and McBride, automatic starts every week. But Ertz against the Chargers, quiet as it's kept again. Zach Ertz has actually been doing pretty well in there for DC. People forget about him, but he's a solid veteran and he's producing. Goddard and Dalton Schultz are another couple of guys who have been producing and have good matchups today. Bad ones. Again, the game's already on, but Njoku and Fannin, right? Although Fannin got a touchdown, so whatever, right? Mark Andrews against Houston today. Houston. The one thing that's good about Houston is its defense. They pitched a shutout last weekend.
Yes,
Houston can play defense. So yeah, and Juwan Johnson is questionable, but if he does play, the Giants are top 10 against against the tight end. So Juwan Johnson is questionable to
Mm,
begin with, and they're playing a decent defense that plays well against the tight end. Giants defense in general is brutal. Tight ends are okay.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, those are my bad matchups for tight ends, and those are my good ones.
Yes, sir. Should be a fun week in fantasy, man. And the thing is, at least my philosophy with injured players, anybody has a season-ending injury, you need to do your research and you need to be deep, right?
Yeah.
Especially at running back and receiver, man. Those people, if you're deep, if you have a backup behind a backup, you're going to and be on top of it. Like you said, Bucky Irving ain't playing today. Find out who the second string is.
Yeah.
Malik
Yeah.
Neighbors is out of there. Find out who's available. Fantasy owners who took Kevin Bourne this week probably got like maybe damn near almost 30 points because Kevin Bourne
Yeah.
exploded, right? So you need to be smart and wise thinking, okay, who's the backup? Who's getting touches? Who's the hot hand in an offense? Because some offenses, their hot hand is their running back. Look at the New York Giants. They're giving
Hmm.
Scatterboo 25 touches a game, damn near. You know what I mean? Whether through
Yeah.
passing or receiving. So you have to look at volume, like you said. Fantasy is a volume based game. Who is
Yeah.
getting repetitive touches in the offensive game? Yo.
That's it. Like look at all those guys who were paying attention last week for the Steelers. The people who
Yes,
had
sir.
Kenneth Gainwell in their lineups last week because they knew, they realized that Buddy was injured, right? And
Right, right, right.
it was an early game. Like you really had to be on point. You weren't going to like
Yes, sir.
wake up on Sunday morning and just throw him in your lineup because he was already playing, right?
Yes,
And on
sir.
his way to a huge game, right? So and will he stay there? Will he be? He's not going to. I doubt take over the backfield, right? Tomlin has this guy back in there, Jalen Warren. But
Right.
for that particular week, if you were paying attention, knowing that the Steelers ground and pound the way they do, and
Mhm.
knowing that you can run a bit on Minnesota, and Kenneth Gainwell, experience, right? He
Yes,
was
sir.
never huge anywhere in Philly or anything like that, but he's very experienced, and now he's going to have the backfield all to himself. Oh my God, the guy looked like Eric Dickerson out there, right?
He looked amazing up there in London. By the way, credit to the Steelers, 3-1 Steelers. I'm gonna give
Yeah.
Uncas credit. I did not expect such a resurgence from that Steelers offense, and I'm gonna give him the offense looks deadly, man. I'm
Yeah.
talking about Aaron Rodgers to DK Gainwell look great. I think Jalen Warren when he comes back he'll look great because the
Yeah.
pass sets up the run actually. When the pass game is so explosive. DBs have to be on notice. Linebackers have to go in coverage. They have to go cover 3, cover 4. That leaves so many gaps right in the trenches and gives the running back more chances. So sometimes the run can be used to set up sometimes the pass, sorry, can be used to set up the run. Yeah.
Did you see
Explosive up. Yeah.
did you see the one tush push that the Steelers did or something to that effect?
Yes,
And
sir.
and Rogers was just like, nah, you guys are gonna break me in half if I get in there. And he's just like standing, he's just standing at the back looking at
Just
his
waiting.
watch, just waiting for them to get. It was really funny to watch him just standing there watching the play.
I mean, the
Too
man is
funny.
in his 40s, man. He's not gonna do Jalen Hurts stuff, man. I do
No,
not expect that. But I saw
oh my
something
goodness.
funny too, is that he took like some kind of smelling salt in the huddle and threw a perfect pass to DK. And I'm like, damn, when have the Steelers offense looked this good? And I'm like, this must have been Big Ben, the Killer Bees era with
Hmm.
AB and Le'Veon Bell because brother, the O was scary. I'm like that because the Vikings are not a trash defense, man. They're not
No,
bad.
not at all. I was
So it's
actually
like
pleasantly
it's super.
surprised, right? I'd
Yeah.
never bet against my team, right? But there's
Of course, me
sometimes where I
neither.
just don't feel like it's going to be my day. So when I came out there and saw them playing as well as they were, I was like, yeah, man, it's a good
Yeah,
day.
Uncle's cheering, bro. The Steeler
I
faithful
was,
is
dude.
definitely
I
having a day.
was.
Shout out to y'all, man.
Well, you know how I felt about Rogers. I was not eager
Oh
for that
yeah, you are not a
experiment.
fan.
I was
Yeah.
not eager for that experiment at all. Um, only to see the guy, like I can see why that people did want him. Like the guy he's smart, right? Like I've seen the guy a
Oh
couple
yeah.
times this season already. Like look at the lineup or whatever. He sees movement or something like that, and he'll do some little thing, right, that ends up getting a penalty called and first down, and he's audibling
Yeah.
on the line sometimes, right? I wasn't crazy about him. I mean, I like the gusto, but I didn't like when he was like, kind of pushing. He was pushing Tomlin on the 4th and goal type of thing. Like instead of taking the 3
Oh,
points, right? They gave up
all
the
right.
3 points because they were all enthusiastic, and coach got talked into doing something he doesn't ordinarily do and regretted it.
Right.
But they still got to hang on. So like he's a big man on campus over there, Rogers. He can definitely do stuff that other people can't,
Right.
including those, like I said, those little audibles at the line where you got a run called, but he just cancels that at the line and just boom, scoots a little 1 yard, which is basically a running play anyways. The way he
Right.
passes
Right.
those little 1 yard dinks off the line of scrimmage, like it's just
Right.
meant to be yak, right? It's just here you go.
Yeah.
It's just like
That's true.
a running play by any other name.
Yeah, when you look at this is something you can't replace. This is a Hall of Famer, guys. Like let's not play with it. Like this is a
Yeah,
Hall of Fame quarterback who is in the twilight of his career, who still wants to play. And I think he wants some revenge of how things ended, not only in Green
yeah,
Bay, but with the Jets. And keep in mind, he lost a season, and I would argue maybe even half a season and a half, because that injury takes time to repair.
yeah.
The second half
Achilles.
of the Jets season, he looked really good. I'm talking
Yeah,
about, he didn't look amazing, but he looked really, really good. And if you were paying attention to the Jets, a lot of issues with the Jets were due to that defense blowing leads a lot. Just a heads
yeah.
up.
He's
So
he's
in
really
Pittsburgh,
he's really
uh,
surgical, that guy, man. Like
oh
Rogers, that is
man,
one thing I will say.
yeah.
He's really surgical.
If you started the season and told me that the AFC North would be run by Pittsburgh, I would be laughing, and I'm wrong as hell because they are running away with this division. Lamar out, Joe Burrow out, the Browns are the Browns. I'm telling you, this is a 10-win team from my estimation. They're
Yeah.
looking north of 10 dubs for the Steelers for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because if Baltimore isn't going to do what they normally do, like who's
No,
left? This is like the AFC North from the '90s type of thing when it was like
yes.
the Steelers and nobody else.
Right. It's pretty much over. Just credit to seeing his resurgence. And you know what? We might not like his personality, but when he's on the football field, this
Yep.
man makes some things happen. So I have to give credit to
Yeah.
the Steelers and
Yeah.
give some
Because
love, you know what I mean?
because me, like I told you, I was not eager for Rodgers, but now I'm watching it. I'm not arguing.
So, well, let's see what we have. We got two more sections left. We're talking about our lines and spreads. Any games you want us to circle around, put our eyes are, or maybe put some money on, or a little some, because I know you're killing the versus spread this season. Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I effed around and found out last week by talking about it, right? All the touching wood doesn't matter. Anyways, I went
Oh
7-9
man.
last week. I had my first sub 500 week last week, 7-9. But still
Yeah.
39-25 for the season so far.
You
And
stay good. You stay good. Mm-hmm.
I had Cleveland again, but of course that game's underway, so it hardly matters. I had Cleveland plus 3.5, but I'm taking the Jets plus 2.5 at home today.
Oh, okay.
I've got
Okay.
Houston. Houston has gone from being plus 9 to now like they're favored by 2, I think, since
They
they
are
announced that
favored,
Lamar
yeah.
is out.
They're
Since
favored 1.5, actually. Yeah, it's
you
crazy.
ask you ask what the value of Lamar is, well, Lamar's worth at least 10 points.
Yeah,
Wow.
straight up,
So
straight
so
up.
anyways, I took Houston initially as an underdog, plus like three and
Right.
a half or something like that, but now they're favored by 1, right? It shows you how early in the week I did my picks. So now both teams are 1-3 against the spread, right? So somebody's breaking out of
Oh,
that. So neither
right.
team has really been good for covering the spread, but I'm taking Houston on that one. Now, the other one
Right.
I have interesting, Seattle, the game of the week, as far as I'm concerned, is the Seattle Tampa Bay game. Seattle's
Gotcha.
traveling all the way about as far away across the country as you could possibly go. They're going from the East Coast in the south all the way to the Northwest Pacific Coast out there to Seattle. Seattle's favored
Right.
by 3.5 points. I believe
Mm,
I think Seattle, like Tampa Bay usually has close games, like we've talked about 2 3 point margins a lot of the time. So I'm going more than 3.5 points. I think Seattle covers this by at least 2 field goals, if not a touchdown. Their
right.
defense is outstanding. Bucky Irvin is out, like I mentioned.
Mm,
Evans is out. Like, there's a few different
right.
reasons why we might think that Tampa Bay would lose to Seattle in the first place, but I also think Seattle covers that.
Right.
And the other one, I got Jacksonville covering against KC today because
Oh,
3.5 points. The way they played against San Francisco last week, I'm
yes,
sure
sir.
KC. I'm sure KC wins this, but I think it's going to be one of these closer games.
Absolutely. And then quiet is kept. We're a little tight on time, but we will next week we will definitely talk about the Jags because they're 3-1. What the heck? Who saw that?
I
And
know,
they're same record as the Colts. Like, are we gonna have an issue closer to the end of the season when they start playing each other? I'm
right?
telling you, the Jags are looking very good as a team. Their coach is beefing with another coach. You saw that? Freaking
Oh my
Salah
God.
versus Cohen. What the
Robert
hell?
Saleh and Liam Cohen. That was the funniest
Crazy,
thing I
bro.
ever saw. Like, whoever heard of stealing signs in football,
What?
right?
Oh, it's not like that ever happens.
It happens every week, right?
All the time, brother.
That's
All
why
the
they
time.
change. That's why they change their signs every week, for heaven's sakes, because it's a game. Everybody knows
Happens
it's
all the time.
22 men all shoved in the
Listen,
same space. You think there's any secrets in there? Like, people figure out your signs like right away, and they're all it's everybody's. It's like a gossip circle. Everybody's talking. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, it is common. I remember a buddy
right,
of mine told me a high school football story about somebody,
right.
their running back. For some reason, all the guys in the offensive line hated their running back. I don't know why, right?
Oh
And
shit.
of course, in Metro Toronto, like, a lot of these guys, they know each other, right?
Of
And so
course.
they had
Yeah.
friends. The offensive line guys had some friends on the other team's defense, right? And they
Uh,
were like, they wanted to see that they hated their running back for whatever reason, right? Who knows? Maybe he fucked one of their girlfriends or something. I don't know, right? But they
he did
started
some
doing
bullshit.
this thing that anytime it was going to be a running play to the right, they'd tap their right thigh. If it was a running play to the left, they'd tap their left
Oh,
thigh. And all the defensive guys knew all these signs because they were let in on them for whatever
of
reason.
course. Of
So, like,
course.
this happens in football all the time. That
Yes.
signs get figured out, and if you don't change them, then it's not like the culture in baseball where signs are considered to be sacred, right? It's not like that.
Right.
If you're not stealing signs in football, you're not playing, right? So Liam
Right.
Cohen was accurate to say, like, stop your you stop your whining and complaining and all that type of stuff. He did not expect Robert Saleh to threaten his life.
I'm telling you, I'm taking Salah over Liam Cohen any
Okay.
day of the week. But it's funny how Liam Cohen waited until his massive O lineman was in front of him for him to start talking
Exactly.
shit. Ain't that funny how that
Exactly.
works? You have a dieseled defensive line coach right there, and you're talking smack right behind your 6'7", whatever, 300-pound lineman. Okay,
Right.
okay,
And
dog, you're not a tough guy.
and
Get the
that's
hell out of here.
and
And you
that's
know
what
what I'm saying?
Saleh.
This is
I
what
think
something
that's
I
what
think is
Saleh was
happening.
so upset about, is that he
Yeah,
saw.
and I think
He,
Salah was speaking something true. There might be some fishy things happening in Jacksonville. I'm not saying nothing, but I'm saying when he said that on the podium, he was signaling. It was like dry snitching, man. Dry snitching is when you say it without saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like how people were dry snitching on Belichick. Let me tell
yeah.
you something, man. There's been such a history of coaches doing some shady shit. Like you just said, either coaches are playing. Look at this team. Natty. They won a natty, bro. Cheating the whole season. The whole season they were
Yeah.
cheating, man.
Dude.
You feel me?
That's
Natty.
what
Anyways, go ahead.
that's what football's all about, man. Like
Yeah,
it's
man. It's a sad
football's like
truth.
that. It's different from
Football be
baseball.
like that, right? Very, very different, man. I'll tell you this. I don't know if I'm gonna put them on my top five list, but if they get this win coming up, they're definitely coming on my top five. Unc, we gotta talk our top five teams in the league heading into week 5. And by the way, this list is, as we said, week by week basis. We're not looking at week 1. We ain't looking at week 3. We ain't looking at week. No, we're looking at going into week 5. What are our 5 teams? And Unc, you want me to go first? Or you want to go
Yeah,
first? Let
yeah.
me.
You go first because
Yeah,
I kind of have to look at because
yes,
I
yeah.
know it's a bit tricky here. You go first.
All right, everybody. By the way, if you in the chat, let me know y'all opinions as well. I'm gonna go with number 5. Starting with the Seattle Seahawks. And for me, now I'm giving a lot of credit to defenses, man. When you look at what Seattle has been doing to teams, they're keeping them below 20 points consistently. And if you're keeping a team below 20 points consistently, you're going to be in my top 5. And your offense obviously matters. Sam Darnold, JSN are looking crazy. Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker III looking really good. I got number 4, Detroit Lions. Yes, the Detroit Lions. Obviously, we saw what they did to my horrible, and I say horrible, Baltimore Ravens, but they kept the streak alive. They're on a 3-game winning streak. That's a team that you have to put in your top 5. Number 3 for me, we got to go Niners, man. Bang, bang, Niners gang. Yes, this is a new team that supplanted another team. Yes, I took out the Colts. The
Yeah,
Niners have impressed me, man. Resilience. I say resilience because literally like all their playmakers are hurt, man. It's just McCaffrey out there with
yeah.
who else? Kyle Juszczyk.
That's it.
That's the only guy that we know. Trent Williams. That's it. Niners have impressed me, so I put them at number 3. So gonna surprise somebody. We have a new number 1 in my list. Eagles are number 2. I can't validate the Eagles as number 1 yet because they have been winning games by the hair, and the
Yeah,
quality of wins have not been as good as my number 1 team, which is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are the number 1 team because they've not only had crazy good wins, but they've been consistent. And the way that Josh Allen is playing is amazing. But quiet is kept. Dalvin Cook could steal some MVP votes from him because Dalvin Cook has been playing as good, and you can even argue better than Josh Allen for his position. Uh, I really like what I'm seeing, and they always make a defensive play. So again, Seahawks 5, Detroit number 2, Niners 3, Eagles Eagles 2, and then we got the Buffalo Bills as the number 1 team going into week 5. Unc, what you got?
Oh
Any
man, very similar, very similar. Yeah, that NFC West
uh,
is definitely you got to put those two teams in there. I would go Seahawks, yep, and 49ers. That would be my 4 and 5 right there. And the only reason the 49ers are down on the down at 4 is just simply
mm,
because they have so many injuries. So we know that's a
yeah,
creaky number 4 there. And if the Seahawks do what they're going to do today, what I think they're going to do today, I think they're absolutely going to justify this. Number 3, I would put the Lions in there.
nice.
Outstanding offense and defense. They look just primed. I imagine they're going to be in this top 5, this power 5 for probably most of the season. And I'm like
Same.
you. I've got the Eagles number 2 and Buffalo number 1. So we actually have a lot very similar stuff this week, if it's not exactly the same.
Yes, sir.
For the same reasons. For the same reasons, the Eagles are. Yeah, it's a little crazy the way they're winning, and Buffalo is looking very, very predictable
I'm telling
in
you,
a good
man.
way.
Yeah,
In a good way.
great, great minds think alike, man. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. This reminds me. I'm just gonna say this one thing. Upset alert from me. The Broncos might upset the Eagles this week.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just something I want to circle because the Eagles have a lot of locker room drama. We didn't even touch the AJ Brown stuff,
Yeah.
but they are not looking like the dominant team they were in the first two games.
The
And I
two
think this is
defenses.
going to catch up to
I
them. Yeah.
I
Go
think the
ahead. On.
two defenses today, I think I would take the under in that game most likely. I think that the two defenses today smash each other's brains in.
And think about this. Last season, they had Saquon going crazy. Saquon is having a
Yeah.
quiet season to be, and you know what I mean?
By his
A lot
standards. Yep.
by
By
his
his
standards.
standards.
So the Eagles, hey man, don't be surprised if we have a little upset up there in
That's
Philly.
a good pick. Well,
Yeah, man.
actually, that's a good pick because I think it's only 3.5 points. Right. So
Oh,
and
okay.
are they playing they're playing in Philly?
They're playing in Philly right now. Let me look at the
Yeah.
line
I think
again. Yeah,
yeah,
they're
I think
playing in
that's
Philly. Yeah, they're playing in
I
Philly.
think that's why I took Philly. Like I think Philly's going to win regardless. If they were playing at
Right.
home, I might take Denver to get inside that 3.5 points. But I think Philly at home they cover that 3.5. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's why I picked it. So, but I
It's
think it's
actually
going to
the line
be
is actually moved to 4. The line is
I
moved to 4, actually. Yeah,
the
crazy. Yeah.
line has moved to 4. Okay, so
Yeah, it's
yeah,
moved
like
to 4.
it's probably going to be like a score like 25-21, 25-20. It's going to be odd and weird. 25-18. It's going to be a weird game.
Hey man, one thing that's not weird is y'all coming to support, man. We finish off the pod stream, like the stream, best way to support. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hey, we
Yeah,
about to watch more football, man. We got morning football, breakfast ball, and then we got
yeah,
afternoon ball. Appreciate y'all for being here with us, man. With Unc and
right
Phil.
on, buddy.
Salute to y'all. Unc, any last words for the people them?
Nah, man, just have a great week. Enjoy your ball today. I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait to get to it.
Let's do it, man. It's been Unc and nephew. We out this beat. Ah.
Got it, brother.